Welcome back to the OTB podcast, the original and still the best New Zealand mountain bike podcast. But today, we're going stateside again. We're going to the USA. Now, look, I didn't want to bring this up, but my USA co-host, my foreign correspondent, Sean Griz McClendon, he's been cheating on me with another podcast. But I'm not going to hold that against him because we're tight. Welcome back, Griz.
Kieran, great to be back. Love being the foreign correspondent for New Zealand's sickest downhill mountain bike podcast. And yeah, I've been cheating on you. I've been getting around. I'm just trying to get my voice out there. People don't have any idea who I was, what I did on a bike, which speaks for my accolades, because people now are like, oh, you're the talk guy. You're like, I hear your voice all the time. I recognize your voice. Who the fuck are you?
They don't know about the time that you won Whip-Off champs, like one of the original Whip-Off champs?
No, they don't know that I pioneered best whip. They don't know that I beat Nico Mullally on a GT, like Asa Vermette. You know what I mean? When he was 15.
Hey, it's funny you should say that, people recognizing your voice. I was just watching the end of a race a couple of weeks ago, and this guy was like, are you the guy from the OTB podcast? I recognized your voice. And I was like, oh man, this is getting weird.
It feels like the Wizard of Oz, right? You're like the man behind the curtains, just some ominous voice. Yep,
very strange. But hey, we're back. We're going to talk some US downhill racing. There's been 2 races back-to-back. We've had the Tennessee National in the first round of the Monster Pro Downhill Series. Before we get into there, quick thank you to Maxxis Tyres. Maxxis bringing this podcast to you this year. They have been a fantastic supporter. From the mile to the wild, Maxxis have got you covered from road, gravel, XC, downhill. Obviously, the legendary Minion that me and Griz raced on for a long time. Also, Fox suspension. Fox have been keeping us dialed. Best suspension out there. Buttery. But Griz, so you've been at both these races. You've been live commentating and doing the feed on YouTube as well, which has been cool. So you've been right in there
correct. Deep. I've been on the road, man, just road dogging. So I wasn't actually on site for Rock Creek. However, I was there back in February for the Downhill Southeast Round 1. So I was very familiar with the track, the changes that were made to the track, and obviously what conditions are like at Rock Creek. So I've been there for a couple Downhill Southeast, the Monster Pro Downhill, national champs last year. So I've seen it from spring to end of summer, with rain, without rain. So felt like I really knew what I was talking about for the replay.
Yeah. No, that's good. You're on there. I didn't realize that. I thought you were actually there live commentating as well on that one.
No. So not for the Monster Pro Downhill. Clay Harper has his buddy, the captain, who's actually a radio DJ up in New Jersey. The guy's, he's hilarious.
Awesome.
Dude. He just does mountain bike races for fun on the side.
Perfect. Oh, that's good.
As a favorite of Clay.
Yeah. Let's start with the Tennessee National. I mean, we kind of did our bit of a preview couple of weeks ago. Talked about, these races coming up and that obviously, and the level of talent that was there at Windrock at Aaron Gwynn's Tennessee National. It was pretty high level. Like we talked about being an Underworld Cup. You had the Commencal team, you had Yeti Factory Racing. Also we have the Canyon, obviously, with the likes of Troy and Luca and Aletha. It was pretty stacked. Yeti, man, it looked like a good race.
It was amazing. I mean, you were missed out. You would have loved it. You would have been like, oh, sweet. This is like the renaissance of US downhill is very much real.
Yeah.
Dude, that 499, we talked about the number of riders. That was a little deceiving because it was including like all the pit vendors, everyone that signed up for best whip. So there was.
Okay.
So, but it was still a killer turnout. It was 421 total registered riders, which is
still very decent.
Yeah, huge turnout for US downhill. And man, it was like, I kept on telling people to really date myself. I was like, man, I feel like I'm back at Snow Summit 25 years ago, opening round of Enormous. Like, holy shit. SRAM basically owned one entire parking lot. They were like old G-Cross Honda style, like walled off, could not access them. But they were doing team camp testing with Trek and a lot of their other race teams, the Commencal programs. Yeah. So I think they had some stuff that they couldn't show to the public, I'm assuming.
I mean, they would have had, obviously Canyon as well, so they would have had their hands full. They had 3 pretty top teams on deck for that race.
Absolutely, man. It was a beautiful sight to see. All these World Cuppers, and Dude, the French, I mean, riding in the dry, I was pretty blown away with how well all the French riders handled that moon dust. And then come finals day, I was like, damn it, the Frenchies are going to wax everybody from the U.S. And they almost did. But going back to our predictions, we weren't far off the mark, dude.
Don't remember what we called, but you must remember.
Well, I know I nailed it with Aletha Osgaard. She really came through.
I feel like that's easy money in the US right now.
Well, but the thing is, she's now she hasn't raced Anna Newkirk a bunch. She's never raced Miriam Nicole or any of those big girls really, big like Bauman. Any of them. And dude, she executed like flawlessly, 4-second margins in qualifying and finals.
Yeah.
And she had a pretty loose run in her final run.
I think this is a good place to start because, I was watching her race run and I'd already seen the results. So, I knew how it stacked up, but I'm watching her race run going like, how in the hell did she put this much margin in? Because there was like so many mistakes. But obviously in between those mistakes, she was just absolutely hauling ass.
Dude, it was tough to call because I was like, okay, next split for sure. She's like, she's going into the red. And she just kept pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. So, I was impressed, man. Like, I thoroughly believed the hype of Ali Osgaard. But,
so it was dry pretty much up until race day, right?
It was totally dry. Friday practice, bone dry. Saturday practice and what we call seeding, but it's qualifying. Totally dry. And before I go into the dry to wet, the track was really well prepped, man. Like Aaron, being a racer and a track builder, like he prepped it like a motocross track, dude. A bunch of sections were like super loose, soft. Like it's not really loamy at all over there in Windrock. It's like really hard packed clay.
Yeah, it looked like it.
So those first 2 days of dry didn't allow big brake bumps to form or really any ruts. Like it was just blown out moon dust, which I'm sure, like looking at New Zealand footage, I'm sure some of the tracks get that way without rain, right?
Yeah.
Like there's marginal support. Anyway. And then come race day, man, it was slicker than a freaking Diddy party. It was so slippery like that. So Windrock, you want it to keep raining. That's what everybody says. Like if it starts raining, you just want it to not stop. There's like a greasy period, and then it gets better from there. Yeah. Well, no. It rained overnight after qualifying into finals morning. So riders, like all the classes practiced on a really basically again a prep track. Like it was like the track just got watered. There was no mud. Like when I turned up to do the commentating or announcing on site, I was looking at people's kits. They were clean. Down tubes had just a little bit of spackle.
So it was just perfect.
I was like, yeah, like you couldn't ask for better dirt. And then I was looking at the forecast. I'm like, oh, dude, it's going to rain about 1:30 to 2 p.m., which is like right on time. Before. Yeah, right on time. It's going to be. I was thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, this is when it fully would have paid off to sandbag qualifying and drop in early to get a good track.
Is there anything more iconic than rain, like right on time for finals at a downhill race? Like it always just hits right on time.
Yeah, so like for a World Cup prep race, couldn't have been any better, right? Yeah. It was just like total European style, like riders practiced and qualified in one conditions, raced in another, so it was a total crapshoot going into
Here
it.
You go. You have no idea what this is going to be like. Go race as fast as you can.
Yeah, and so like with that in mind, I was like, all right, the Frenchies are going to kill it. Freaking Lockie Stevens McDab, like you Sohem riders, the Kiwis and Aussies historically have always been brilliant, like riding by feel, right? Just like total reactive riders. Cool. We could like I feel like Kiwis and Aussies would if downhill racing was like no practice, just blind run, you guys would smash the world. Like right?
Sam Blenkinsop, fastest guy I've ever seen to ride blind tracks. I've been following him down stuff we've never ridden, going like, no, I'm backing out of this now because he is going way too fast.
Yeah, I can't do that. Like if I can follow somebody blindly, right? Like if they've never ridden the track and I've never ridden the track and I'm behind them, I'm okay. But you don't want me leading because you'll end up in the weeds.
So it was seating in the dry, which was seating qualifying, whatever we want to call it, which threw up some interesting results. Maybe not totally crazy, but like Ryan Pinkerton seating in first place, which I mean he's been fast, but I was kind of a bit surprised at him coming in and beating Troy and Luca. But
I wasn't in the slightest.
Looks solid
because Pinkerton is riding really good, man. He is like, and I've said it before, probably the podcast I'm cheating on you with, but like everybody is noticeably more like, I don't know if they're on steroids or what's going on, but everybody is just chiseled. It's ridiculous. Like they're ready to just pile drive whatever comes at them. And Pinkerton is definitely like buff this year. But he totally pulled a John Kirkcaldy, OG Kirkcaldy. Like he won practice by a fair margin on Friday. I mean,
just
hands
flat
down,
out from run one.
Killing everybody. Like it was noticeable. Like Pinkerton's the fastest rider on track, no question. I watched him like not break his bike, but have a mechanical on Friday practice. And so when he seeded or qualified first, that didn't surprise me. But again, I was on site, so for fans going into it, it might have been like a whoa, all right, Pinky's here. I guess the other end of that was like Gwen was in the top 20. But not inside the top 10. And then Dante Silva, who's another fast American young dude, he was like 15th. He was right behind Gwen, and they both finished on the podium. So they stepped things up for the finals.
I was surprised to see Gwen back there. I was like, kind of expected more. Thought he would have been, right up in the thick of the top 10. But I mean, who knows? Maybe he made a mistake or something. But
well, no, he actually, if you listen to Andrew Neathling's Moving the Needle podcast with Gwen, I just listened to that today. So he actually spilled the beans. He really hasn't been riding all that much. Like basically his first laps on the bike for this year was like race week.
Oh, no way.
And
it doesn't surprise me. That dude looks so busy.
Oh yeah. And I could tell because I helped like I was there all week. I helped do some Red Bull Tennessee signage so that Aaron could go and be an athlete and go like ride, like shake down his new bike and, like listen to the Moving the Needle podcast. He kind of spills the beans there, but it was interesting to now know that Aaron has very little seat time on his bike. He has a hand injury that he just got fixed this year. So for him to kind of turn it up through the weekend, wasn't surprising, but what was surprising was like you could just see Aaron's at a new place in his life. Like he was scrambling from going from like race promoter headspace to team manager headspace. He has riders that were there. He has one rider that got injured during that week, and then he had to go be basically like team leader and try to throw down with the fastest riders in the world minus a few. So
while we're on the Gwyn topic. Have you? I mean, their team, from what I recall, wasn't in the like UCI elite teams or whatever we call them now. Do you know if their focus is still like racing World Cups or what their kind of plan is? Have you heard anything on that front?
So I know they're mostly going to be North American focused. So they'll be doing the Monster Pro downhills. Gwyn did say that he's going to line up for round 2 of the World Cups in June.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's like because the UCI ruling is still clear as mud. But yeah, I know Gwyn Racing is one of the trade teams, but I think they need to get some more points to maybe get the invite. And maybe they don't have enough points until round 2 or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
We're gonna figure this out as it comes.
It's a fluid situation.
Best way to describe it. Even in the pits at Tennessee, like nobody knows shit. So that's my main takeaway. Most of all the riders.
Yeah, the people who should know something know nothing.
Yeah,
but that's another topic anyway. But back in the seating. I mean, it wasn't Troy Brosnan in second, Lucas Shaw in third. Lockie Stevens McNabb in fourth. I mean, that's not a surprise to see those guys there. But hey, how was my call on Tyler Waite, seated in fifth place?
Dude, yeah, he really lived up to your expectations in height. And man, his riding, like this current crop of Kiwis are just so impressive. I mean, I've always been impressed with New Zealand downhillers just throughout the ages, going back from Kirkcaldy, Rankin to you, to Blanky, Bulldog, everybody. It's always been super impressive. But dude, these young kids, their fluidity is like on another level.
Yeah, they are on another level. Like we had a lull for a long time, like where not a lot of was really happening in terms of talent coming through, and at the moment, between the men's and the women's, it's insane the riders that are coming through. But yeah, I know what you say. Like you watch Tyler, and he's so smooth. Like he's such a sick rider to watch. Yeah,
man, his bike barely made any noise, and that Tennessee National track it reminded me a lot of Bromont from like the era when we were racing. It was so Bromont-esque, like that HT middle finger rock garden completely reminded me of Bromont. And it was way gnarlier in reality than it comes across on camera. I mean, that's always the downside to, like, it's just the shitty thing about downhill racing. It does not translate well to camera. But I mean, going back to like Lockie and Tyler, they for that rock garden specifically, I mean, they really were like on practice day, they were all stopping, looking at multiple lines, watching riders come through. Like they gave Windrock the respect it deserved. And it was really, really cool to see them not just winging it, you know what I mean? Coming in cocky and going like, get out of the way. We're going to show you what time it is. Like, no, they picked the track apart and rode really well all weekend.
Yeah, no, it was cool to see. It was cool to see some Kiwis over there. And then we also got other Yeti Factory rider this year, Jonty Williamson, who, little bit, he was riding pretty good at Windrock, just looking at the results and that, but he really shone last weekend at Rock Creek, but we'll come back to that one. Then obviously we talked about the rain coming right in time for finals, so that just looked like it flipped everything on its head watching the live feed. It looked like it changed a lot, even just through the riders. You know, like some people it looked worse, and
it totally did. And the first memory that comes to mind is watching the pros going up on the shuttle truck. They all looked so worried, right? And I was just like so happy to be there with a microphone in my hand, as opposed to like, I gotta go risk my life.
Yeah, here we go.
So all categories raced, and the format for the Tennessee National was like the Cat 2-3 categories went first, then all of the Cat 1 categories. And so there was a big rainstorm for the old dudes, like the Cat 1 50 plus and then 40 plus. They got the shit end of the stick for the day. Like they had the worst track. Poor guys.
These guys don't deserve that at this time of their lives. No, they deserve a dry track.
They got hammered on. And then by the time the juniors started coming through, it was the track was getting better. And Ryder Lawrence posted the fastest amateur time of the day. He ran like a 2:46 and change. So that told me, okay, the track is getting faster again, and as long as this rain holds off, the pros should have a pretty good track. It'll be different than what they practice in the morning, but it won't be that different. And then it rained some more. Like the women, pro women dropped in first, and they actually had a pretty, like, it didn't really rain for them. It was pro men. So like, I think Till Allren came down pretty early, and he held the hot seat for a long time. Yeah, so he dropped in early. He did the old Matty Leahy-Conan, right? So he like didn't seed all that great, but he got a nice dry-ish track. Like it was pretty good when he came down, and then it just rained. Like for the last 13 pro men, like they were all getting rained on at the top. So for Amaury Piron to come out and actually win it in those conditions, like hats off, absolutely won that day.
Are we not surprised though? I mean, look at his Leger race last year, right? Like that dude is just a freak.
He is, man. And it was a super tight margin, which was cool to see. Like he did beat Till by like
0.012, I think I saw.
Yeah, it was super, super tight. But he for sure had let's call it like a 3-second disadvantage in track speed compared to Till. Because there was a lot of those top 20 seeded riders, they actually went backwards like quite a bit. So if you could maintain like a 12-second difference from the seeding time, like you were basically finishing better. But if you were like 12 seconds or more slower, you were going backwards on the result sheet.
Yeah, definitely saw quite a few people, especially towards the end, people like Lockie went down and Tyler went backwards a bit. And yeah, you start seeing people sliding back. Kind of, Troy was about the only one that really stayed super consistent, still finishing up third.
Yeah, and not really surprised there. I mean, the old dogs. Really...
Another guy who's legit in the wet as well. He's always been
exactly.
good.
Yeah, like any conditions, Troy is just a madman. And again, going back to what I said about the Kiwis and Aussies being great, reactive riders, like there it is, proof in the pudding. Troy Brosnan on the box.
And then Aaron, obviously we kind of mentioned that, slipping into fourth, pulling his way back forward, but he's looking real good. Like he for now, you saying how little bike time he's had. I was watching even just from Rock Creek, the round in the weekend. I was like, man, it's looking like some vintage Aaron Gwynn style on the bike. Like he just looks like he did when he was, at his peak on Trek and that sort of thing and Specialized. Like he's got that same style back again, which I think he was kind of missing for a little bit.
Totally. And to know that he's actually he's not fully off the couch, but he's not, I think in his terms, like I think he's 100%, but Aaron would probably tell you he's somewhere between 90 and 95, just to speak for him because we're podcasting right now. But man, his race run was super impressive. And I think he maybe just had a little bit more confidence and was like, maybe if this wasn't his race, he probably could have won. But I think he had to kind of just like, he put as much of his attention span that he could into the day. But dude, he came into that race week, like, worried about signs being straight and making sure that, like the track was dialed and, he just had a lot going on.
I can't even begin to imagine how much that dude had going on in his head that weekend to be running the race at his own property and then going and racing in that weather and still finishing up fourth is unreal.
It's super unreal, man. And it's also worth noting that like Aaron and the whole Windrock crew did a great job. So all categories raced on the same track. And the medical crews, so the medical staff out here is a company called DIRT, D-I-R-T. I forget what the acronym stands for, but they're amazing medics, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have to call one ambulance, which since they've been doing medical services for downhill mountain bike races out here, they've never had a race where they didn't have to call an ambulance. So that was testament to how well the track was designed and prepped for all categories. Now there were some injuries, there were some broken collarbones, there were some stuff that just didn't require an ambulance, but kind of to be expected at a downhill race.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I mean, for people from New Zealand listening to this, they're probably going to be going like, "What are you talking about? Racing on a different track?" But I mean, when I was over there racing, and for a long time, there would be different tracks with different categories, right? So it's like a lot of the time you'd have kind of the beginners or whatever racing on one track, and then you'd have like experts and elites racing on another, which is something we've never done here. Turn up in New Zealand, you race whatever you're throwing at. So it's kind of a bit of a different style.
That's good. That's good for me to know. And we're finally catching up to the Kiwi just race pedigree.
Yeah.
Everyone goes, "Oh, you're brand new, never raced downhill before? Cool. You're racing the same track as Gwen. Have fun."
Yep. Get on it.
Yeah, man.
But it's interesting to see. So I mean, it's kind of one of those things that, like, I mean, there definitely looked like some pretty gnarly stuff in there, but there was I think maybe that's why some of these tracks aren't looking quite as gnarly as we used to see a lot of US downhill look like, because it was kind of, you'd almost have like a pro track, which we had some proper, there used to be some proper East Coast but it looks like it's kind of mellowed out a little bit.
See, that's where I'm like, because I've walked the track at Windrock a couple times, and when I walked it in person, I was just like, this is gnarly. But it just doesn't translate on camera.
Yeah, okay.
I'm even like out of the gate, that first section out of the gate, that was chewing riders up all freaking weekend, dude. But like when you watch the replay, you're like, oh, that looks like a pretty basic, just simple. But like, no, in reality, like wheels were getting exploded there. Tires were burping off rims. Freaking riders were like slamming into trees.
That's good to know.
Like, yeah. So it is, I guess to your point, like Windrock is proper East Coast gnar.
Yeah.
It just, for whatever reason, does not translate on camera. And dude, it's way steeper. It's so steeper than it comes off on camera. Like
interesting.
There was like ropes. So when you're walking down that track, like I utilized every rope I possibly could, and I had a trekking pole. Like it's, I mean, it's not Champéry, Switzerland steep, but or maybe Val d'Isole steep, but it's as steep as anything that Canada's got.
This could be your age and your hip injuries just shining through, though. That could be.
Put a little asterisk.
like we talked about, we're not young men anymore.
No. Yeah, I guess old Uncle Vision is just like, oh, this is dangerous. Like, and then watching everyone come through it and just blitz like it's no big deal. I'm like, yeah, all right. I'm crusty. I'm falling apart.
That's good though. It's good. That's why I got you on here. You got to get someone who's been there and who's seen it in firsthand, because, like you say, TV and internet just doesn't do stuff justice.
No, it really doesn't. And I mean, same for the World Cups. Like we know those World Cup tracks are and even the Kiwi tracks, man. Like that's what I was honestly thinking about. Like the Crankworks series, the downhill track. Like, that track was probably way gnarlier in real life than what it looked like on camera. Yeah.
There's definitely some of that stuff that just 100% doesn't shine through. But so that was a good race. It looked like everyone had a real good time. They had some pretty epic trophies, some hand painted axes. Those looked awesome.
Those were so sick. I was like, dude, thank you, Gwens, for making trophies great for American Downhill, because they never have been ever. They were sick.
I wonder how that went for Amory taking his massive axe back home, back to France.
Well, dude, he almost took Dante Silva's foot off with his axe on the podium. He just carelessly dropped it, just missed Dante's foot.
Oh shit! And they did a 5-rider podium. Shout out to the 5-rider podium.
5 riders keeping it classic. OG downhill. But man, I did want to touch on Lockie's race run, man. So he finished 12th. I want to point out how impressive it is that he ate shit off camera. I'm like 99% sure where he went down. Cost him a ton of time. It was this off camera. Yeah. It was a corner. It was like a long sweeping left. It was off camera, and it was right before that gnarly what they called the HT middle finger rock garden.
Yeah,
dude, that had to have cost him at minimum 5 seconds. Which, if you look at his finish time, 2:47.92, subtract 5 seconds, he's top 3.
Right in the thick of it. Yeah.
Dude, and for Lockie to get sub 250 with the shit conditions and a crash, like that's super impressive to me. He got 12th.
Yeah. You could see in the replay, you could see the dirt all down his left side. I think it was obviously where he'd been down. Like it was up his leg and up his side. So he'd had a proper one by the looks of it.
Yeah, it probably slid a good 20 yards, right? Because it was just so greasy.
No, I'm really looking forward to seeing what how this season goes for him. I mean, we've seen the potential shining through, and I can't wait to see what he's got for us.
Yeah, man, I think he's got all the right assets in place to be a consistent threat for the podium at the World Cups, barring any disastrous injury. Yeah, man, that dude is slaying. Like he was a treat to watch.
So on to Rock Creek. So we had the first round of the Monster Energy Pro Downhill Series. So there was definitely a few people that carried on between the two races, but obviously looks like the Trek Factory Racing team went home. Commencal went home. So a few people didn't make it across both races, which I was a little bit bummed to see, because it would have been cool to see the rest of them all, throwing their weight in. But it looks like they'd kind of been really there for that SRAM Rock Shock testing kind of leading up to Windrock mostly.
Yeah, it sounds like SRAM footed the bill for all those teams to come out.
Yeah.
So having that presence in Tennessee. But we still had a lot of repeat riders. A lot of Kiwis, right? So it's
legit top 5, coming through. So
yeah. Absolutely. And it was
dry all weekend, which looked good.
So
mostly dry.
It was mostly dry. So it rained I think 2 days before practice started. And I mean, Rock Creek, it's like this perfect mixture of sand and clay. Like it is like the dirt that like motocrossers would dream about, right? I mean, the stuff, it holds really well. There's a ton of support. It doesn't get too muddy. So, I mean, it could have rained going into finals, and honestly, it would have been just perfect. It would have been great.
Yeah, some of the corner ruts, like watching the replay, I was impressed at how hard the riders could actually hit them. You know, like when I say ruts, not deep ruts, you know, like not berms, but you could just see some stuff where there was one in particular looked like they went down, I think they kind of like crossed a road or across a kind of flat trail, and they dropped down what looked quite steep into a left-hander at the bottom. And it didn't look like a massive amount of support there, but man, people were smashing it. They were railing it so hard. And I was like, that looks like good conditions in there.
Your observation is accurate. I will say though, all of the berms leading up to that steepest bit of the track, the trail crew did a killer job. They just built these vert walls for the riders to smash. So that made pace, like it really kept pace high. And then that new kind of like school bus stop into that steep bit. It was cool that there was two options, wide outside line and then inside line. And it looked like that kind of outside to middle line was like the fast race line.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like the ruts. So the other thing is like it's spring over here now. So when Rock Creek basically didn't freeze. So when we raced there in February, those ruts didn't have the opportunity to develop because the ground was freezing overnight. So basically you'd have like an inch or like 3 centimeters of like good dirt, but then it was just like, it was like ice. It was just black ice underneath. So
super hard underneath. Yeah.
Super hard. Yeah. Super hard. So the conditions were ripe. And again, going from, you know, like day one of practice was the most wet the track was, and they just ate it up. So those ruts were able to develop really, really nicely. And Nico took some advice I gave him on trail building, something I did when I lived in Idaho. He's basically like just importing loam, right? So he's just taking like all this, he's backfilling some sections of the tracks with just mulch and like scavenging loam like off the hill and just burying it on the track, prepping it. And that also enabled those ruts to develop beautifully. And yeah, dude, in finals, you didn't see anybody wash out or like really lose traction.
There was like not a single front wheel. No one like pushed a front wheel or like nothing.
Yeah, none of that. It was just grip. And for finals, it was dry on top with like good wet soil still underneath. So I think the knobs were really still able to like dig into some wet-ish dirt and just hold traction.
No, it looked good. It's man, it's a short track though. Like winning time was 1:51. Yeah,
it's not the biggest hill. I want to say, forgive me for not doing the metric version of this over here, but it was about I think Rock Creek's about 650 vertical feet drop. So it's not a big hill, and they don't have any room to go up. Like it's the shortest track. It's for sure the easiest track of the Monster Pro Downhill Series.
But it was it was like a sprint though, you know, like people were getting to the bottom and they were smoked, you know, like it was taking riders, you know, a couple of minutes to catch their breath. So it's like, it was obviously you know, it wasn't by any means just a cruise. Like they were clearly pushing hard to get any bit of time they could.
Exactly. Because it's so short, Nico and the trail crew there at Rock Creek, they just make it to where you're busy. Like you're always doing something. You're always taking big compressions. They don't, again, those don't really translate on camera that great, but like Nico, like they're building World Cup training tracks, right? So they want to mimic the compressions that you get over in Europe or wherever you got to race. So yeah, the intensity is the same, and it's just a sub 2 minute track. So it always delivers like, you know, battles that are tenths to hundredths. I mean, Asa is the only guy that pulled the second gap in the top 20, right? So you have like these super tight clusters, multiple riders on the same second, like you do at World Cups. So yeah, and to your point, I mean, riders were smoked for several minutes after they got done with their run. So it's like super anaerobic, high intensity. Like I think they were more smoked at Rock Creek than they were at Windrock.
Yeah, it looked like it just from the observation of watching them talk to them as that, you know, after they'd finished their runs and that sort of thing. But there was some I did like there was some cool stuff they'd done, like clearly some kind of man-made features where they'd put some kind of big rocks in, things where they were kind of like dropping right before turns and things like that. And that opened up some cool stuff like, I know Tyler pulled a really cool like pre-hop over something, and then there was one that Lucas Shaw did. Lucas Shaw did that. He did an awesome pre-hop that no one else did, like up over this kind of rock, straight into a turn where everyone else was kind of dropping and landing in the turn. And I was like, damn, that was cool. So it was good to see that.
Man, and that I'm glad you pointed out that rock gap that Luca did, because he was eyeing that up at the Downhill Southeast race back in February.
Right.
And like to gap onto that rock is no big deal, but what the deal is like on the backside of that rock is like it's greater than a 45-degree angle off camber. Like there's no support. It would be super easy to just lose front and rear end simultaneously, but he basically just hits that rock and then like slides. And you can see, like, if you watch the replay, like the replay of his run, they do a slow-mo and he like shaves a bunch of rocks off the side of that hill. But again, the dirt was just good enough to where he could like get away with that, and there was support for him to not lose traction and end his day. Yeah.
No, it looked pretty good. So Asa Vermette showed up. So we're kind of wondering where he was prior to the last round. Obviously just didn't make it out for the Tennessee National, and Asa just did what Asa does, straight in, qualified in first. So I mean,
dude,
we shouldn't be surprised. He won there last year as well, right?
He did. Actually, no. Austin Dooley won Rock Creek last year. Asa Vermette won the round 2 of Monster Pro Downhill last year at Mountain Creek. Yeah, so it's easy. We got a bunch of rocks and creeks. It's
rocks and creeks everywhere.
Yeah, man. So, but Vermette, dude, he's the business. Like, he is hands down the fastest U.S. downhiller. He's still a junior, but he's the fastest rider in the U.S. No question. Second, I gave Luca Shaw a lot of hype, and he deserves it. But like, dude, Luca straight up got beat by Asa. Luca threw down.
It was pretty tight though. It wasn't. There wasn't a huge margin in it. I think it was maybe like. Actually, I had it right here. I feel like
it's so. Yeah, Asa finished with a 151.7, and Luca Shaw was 152.1.
Yeah. So it was pretty tight there, but yeah, it was Summit qualifying, Asa, Pinky back right there. So again, Ryan Pinkerton showing that he's on form.
Totally. I want to touch on Pinkerton. Dude, yeah. Let's talk. This is a Kiwi podcast. Let's talk about Kiwi boy, Tyler Waite.
Tyler Waite straight into third. So yeah, it was tight too. There was not much gap going on there between like Tyler and Pinky, and although I think Asa had about a second up on Pinky in qualifying, so he actually laid down a pretty big one in qualifying.
Yeah, he did. He was the only rider to have a second gap in the top 5 of seeding.
So,
but Tyler Waite, dude, his run again, like that pickup manual. And so I think so Tyler, like, he had a super unique line through that new kind of what we call the bus stop entrance to the off camber. The difference between Tyler and Luca Shaw right there was that Luca actually got some cranks in going up that rise. So there was like a step up, and Shaw grabbed like 2 cranks and pulled some time right there. Whereas Waite just floated, dude. He just had this like buttery pump, opted not to pedal. But like, looking at how tight the times are, I think that just shows that Tyler's never been to the U.S. and you actually have to get sprints in where you may just want to pump. You actually need to sprint nowadays. Like, it's back. Luke Strobel, all out days, just 120 RPMs.
Everywhere.
Like, that's back everywhere, but in the right gear, not just trying to look fast for camera.
Tyler gives me Blinky vibes. Just that super smooth, like real stylish, hangs off the bike. So
no gloves.
Yep.
Fuck gloves. These things are useless. Get them out of here. I want to lose my fingernails if I go down and really feel it,
Yeah. No worries. Let's do it.
No worries. And dude, Jonty Williamson, like, he had a really good, he held the hot seat. He made the replay.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, my old phone took a shit. I got a new phone and missed your intel. So I totally dropped the ball on the replay commentary. Girl,
It's all right.
But he had a
We'll get it
sick
for next
run.
time. Yeah.
Yes.
He was legit. Like, I sent him a message and just was kind of asking him how it was and that. And he was like, oh, it was a pretty loose run. And I'm watching it going like, man, it didn't look loose. Like, he looked dialed. The only part that I was like slightly questionable was on that last jump when he looked like he kind of was a bit of a passenger there for a second, but that was it.
Just Ronnie Macked it. Oh God, that was terrifying. Because dude, last year, Kaylee Skelton grizzed it right there. She went full over the bars, splatted. Fortunately, didn't get hurt, but like it was brutal, dude. Gave me PTSD for sure. And so, like, watching the replay, seeing John T come on all nose hot, I was like, fuck, don't die.
And that was his worst segment right in the end. And, like, amazingly, it lost him, like, half a second just in that final sector over, like, a 11.5 second sector of track. So,
yeah, man, that finish line jump back in February when the dirt was a bit different, like, that jump was costing some riders 2 to 3 seconds, whereas on this past weekend it was like a half second. But yeah, it made a difference. Like you had to grease that final backside. Otherwise, like if you hung up the slightest bit, you just gave up a half second, which costs you in this tight times like 4 positions.
I was looking through all the sectors, and it's funny because for Asa putting down the win, he only won a single sector, and that was sector 3. But in that one sector, he put over half a second into Luca over the course of 26 seconds. So he like had this one incredible sector, but second in that sector was Jonty. So he was right there, like 300ths behind him, or 3/10ths behind him at least. So it was super tight. But
it was exciting. It was exciting to call the replay because the splits showed all that, right? It was like green, red, green, red.
They bounced
green,
everywhere.
Like, whoa, this is insane, dude. It was like a boxing match, right?
Yeah. So who's Luke Mellon? He was the whole shot winner, first of the first split.
Yeah, he got $500 and he is a junior. So the Mellon twins. Yeah. So I think it's Luke and Alex Mellon. They're Pinner juniors. They'll probably be, regular podium contenders in the junior category on the Monster Pro Downhill Series.
So are the juniors racing with the elites?
So Jackson Goldstone and Asa Vermette just fucked it up for everybody by being so fast. So it's there's basically the simplest way to explain it is that there's 2 races going on at once. So the 17, I think what you call 18 and unders down there, it's 17 to 18 junior experts up here. They're racing with elites, but there are 2 separate podiums.
Okay. That's good.
So
I like that.
Ryder Lawrence, it's cool. I think it's great for the juniors because now they're, rather than just like going to paper and going like, oh, I want to see where my time stacks up against pros, like they get the whole experience. They're like up on the top of the hill with all the elites and going through the motions, right? But they do have separate podiums. So like Ryder Lawrence won the Cat 117 to 18s, but he finished 10th overall in pro.
Yeah, so we had this discussion last year after our national champs here because Tyler Waite laid down the fastest time of the day. So he actually ended up, we found out there's basically not a loophole, but there is basically a rule within the UCI rules that if an under 19 wins national champs, or has the fastest time, no elite jersey or no elite sleeve is awarded to the elite winner. It's a super weird rule.
Forgive me for excluding Tyler Waite from this whole new rule change because he's a part of the problem or solution, whatever you want to look at it.
I mean, you look at it like I messaged you, Asa Vermette, Tyler Waite, and Jonty. 3 of the top 6 were juniors.
Yep, and they're not going anywhere. They're just going to maintain these top results for years to come.
Yeah, so that was something that we were talking about because, like Tyler laid down the fastest time of the day, but he raced slightly earlier in the under 19 class, and we were saying, like, if that's the rule, then the juniors should be racing in the mix of the elites. If that's going to be the case, that whoever goes fastest becomes the national champion, because Lockie won the elite race, but Tyler's time was faster, so Lockie didn't actually get a national champ sleeve last year because Tyler was awarded it as being the fastest time. So, we were like, well, what happens if the juniors race and then it pisses with rain? like it's not a fair race. So I believe I didn't go to our national champs this year, but I believe at our national champs this year, they actually mixed the under-19s. They all raced with the elites, which is cool.
So they did that last year at 2024 U.S. national champs. Asa Vermette is the national champion.
Yeah.
So to your point, they're like no elites. Like Lucas Shaw won't have a sleeve. Like Asa, I think. And I mean, you probably know the ruling better than I do. I think Asa will have the national. Yeah, so there will be no elite U.S. riders with the Stars and Stripes sleeves. Outside, Anna Newkirk is the women's national champ. She'll wear it, but for elite men, there won't be any Stars and Stripes. It will just be Asa.
So yeah, and then he'll be running a World Champs jersey. So there'll be no national champ sleeve because the World Champs jersey will take precedence.
So there's no, there you go. If you're hating America right now, we're giving that one to you. There's no Stars and Stripes sleeves coming to you for this World Cup.
It's that's a whole different topic we've gone down, but yeah, it was. I mean, I was stoked to see Jonty come through, and I messaged you, but yeah, as you said, that WhatsApp message didn't come through because I knew you were doing the replay. But yeah, Cam Cole mentored. He'd been on a GT team here that Cam had put together, and yeah, obviously picked up by Yeti this season. So he stepped it up. Like he'd kind of always been on my radar just because Cam had picked him up. So I was like, well, obviously, this kid's legit because Cam Cole's looking after him. But his riding this season has been a whole nother level up. So that was pretty cool to see him just sitting there only just getting pipped off the podium by Gwyn, which must be a pretty nice feeling for him. But sweet.
That's got to inspire confidence going into the World Cups for him, because knowing that he's on Gwyn's pace in the U.S., like on Gwyn's home soil, what's the rest of the world? Cool. I'm in wherever I am. Like I know I'm a front runner.
Yeah.
Or I'm capable of being in the front running for sure.
And then in the women's, I mean, Ali Oscar just showed it once again. 2+ second winning margin. Just looked super dialed this weekend as well.
Dude, she's undefeated for her 2025 season. 3 races in, 3 wins in, and I am fully believing the hype. I think she's going to have a very quick, like what Lars Tribuse would call the vertical learning curve. Remember those guys like Duncan Riffle, Lars, Derek Knobman, they would run a 90-degree sticker. We're giving a history lessons here. So that represents the 90 degrees was for the vertical learning curve. I think Ali Osgaard is going to have a vertical learning curve on the World Cups, just like we saw Asa Vermette. Likely what we'll see Tyler Waite and Jonty have for this season. They're just going to be swinging. And, barring any injuries, like they're going to be on the podium most likely.
Yeah, and I mean, Ali's riding for Canyon under the tutelage of Fabian Burrell, alongside Luca, alongside Troy. Like, she's got a legit home. And I mean, just like, Jonty and Tyler as well, they got Richie there. They've been beating Richie, but hey, you've still got a dude who absolutely rips any bike and will teach them everything they need to know about training and being an absolute beast. Like, they're all sitting in good places.
They have all the right assets in place to go win races at any place, anytime, anywhere, right? Like that Canyon team is that's a force. I mean, for sure. And dude, Fabian was at Windrock. Like, that dude looks like he's ready to drop in and go toe to toe at the World Cup level right now. Like, that guy's still chiseled. Like, I think he saw me and was like, I remember you from some time, someplace, I don't know where. And I was just like, yeah, dude, you're fucking Fabian, man. Like, I don't need to talk to you. I know who you are. You don't need to know who I am. I'm going to be calling names and times down here.
He's legit like that. It's super funny. I think it was like maybe 2016. He came out and raced Crankworks Rotorua, like when that Canyon downhill bike first came out, the Sender. I think before Troy and that had actually joined the team, and he was kind of out developing and testing. And I'm sitting on the side of the track, haven't seen him in years, and like knew him to kind of just say hi as we're walking past. He pulls up, looks around, he's like, "Oh man, how's it going?" Like, just like we're old buddies. And then ended up riding together with him for the whole rest of the weekend. Like, he's such a good dude, and so it's cool to see those guys, like having someone like that to guide them through their racing.
Well, I think it speaks as to why these juniors are going so fast so early on in their careers, right? They have all of these riders that are seasoned veterans just passing down the knowledge where like we didn't really have that. Like our generation
we were absolutely clueless.
Yeah, because we had like the Fabians at the time, they were still in the peak of their career. They were gatekeeping. Yeah. They weren't sharing any tradecraft.
No one wanted to help.
No, like you're not following me in. I'm not towing you in. I'm not giving you anything that I don't like. No, like you're a competitor to me. You're gonna have to figure it out on your own. Good luck.
Yeah,
it's a different paradigm. Yeah. And I love to see it. I mean, we've got an exciting future, but as long as all these athletes stay healthy, like downhill is going to be in an amazing place for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. No, it's pretty sick. And I actually just also wanted to give Gwyn a shout out because I was like, man, I was trying to think of how old he is, but he's actually the same age as me. So 37-year-old, and he's still just slaying it. So good on that dude.
It's impressive, man. I mean, bodies don't heal the same. It's super impressive. It really is.
Plus,
even
like we talked about, all the other stuff he's got going on too. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not just a like selfish, dedicated athlete anymore. He's got so many irons in the fire.
Dude, more irons than Elon Musk. Throw that guy under the bus real quick. We're not on Starlink. Yeah. See how we're not getting disconnected?
Yeah.
Yes.
We've had no dropouts today. Yeah.
Nope, on good old home internet. But, dude, back to the pro women's at Monster Pro Downhill Round 1. Anna Newkirk, I was really, really fired up to see her seed or qualify first. Man, So her finals run, she did what Ryan Pinkerton has been struggling with, where she just overrode the track a little bit, and it didn't get her anywhere. Like, she was just...
That track looked like it would be easy to override. There was a couple of people I kind of watched, a couple of people in the finals I watched, and I'm like, you can see they're just pushing a bit too hard. Whereas
it cost you time.
Like, they were just making these little mistakes, and you could see it just visibly losing them time.
Mm-hmm. And then Kaylee Skelton finishing third. I mean, those three, like Aletha, Anna, Kaylee, like they were on another level. But, I mean, dude, Lisa Bauman, she stepped it up for finals. She was a close fourth, just 0.2 behind Kaylee Skelton. So you can see that progress, right? We saw with Tyler and Jonty stepping it up from Windrock to Rock Creek. Like, just spending 2 weeks in the U.S., you could see all these international riders' comfort level just go up, right, in one weekend. So that was super cool to see.
I hope we see some more of the, like the Yeti team, being a domestic US-based team. I hope we see some more of those sort of guys showing up to these races, because I think this is what it needs. It needs some more top-level races, World Cup races showing up. So fingers crossed.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, when you got $4,000 US for and prize purse went up for this year. Like, dude, Aletha
that was legit.
$4,500 this weekend, winning the whole shot, $500, $4,000 for the win. Like, where else do you get that prize money?
Yeah, that was on my notes actually. The 4K prize money. So that was pretty legit. That's like World Cup prize money.
Yeah, Warner Brothers needs to like fire one camera operator and then put that into prize purse or whatever. We can see 10 seconds less of the track if these riders get paid like an extra 1,000 euros or whatever it is.
I'm going to throw you probably under the bus a little bit with this one. You may not know, but do you know if there's like an overall prize money for the season?
So I know. What I do know is this: Monster Pro Downhill Series finals are the U.S. Open of mountain biking. So I think it's 15.
Big payday.
It's $15,000 for the win. So does that go for the overall? I don't know, but there's a fat paycheck on the line in Vermont in September, which is going to be. I won't be surprised to see everyone that we saw at the Tennessee National, Rock Creek, and more at the U.S. Open in September, because it is in sequence of like the New York World Cup and
it's right before it. Yeah. So it's well placed. It goes U.S. Open like we used to see a nice lineup of U.S. Open, New York World Cup, and then Mont Saint Anne. So that's going to be a really tidy closeout for the season. This season of racing.
Oh, 100%. But to your question, that gives us a good reason to get Clay Harper on this podcast.
Yep.
Next time we check in, we'll get Clay to break it all down.
Yeah, maybe we'll try and pull him in after the next round at Mountain Creek. We'll try and line him up.
We should. He'll have a little bit of a gap between races, so he should have some time.
Next round is unfortunately the weekend before the first World Cup in Poland, so I think we won't see the level of World Cup talent at that round, I wouldn't imagine, just because that would be a super tight back-to-back.
No, and I think like it's safe to say like the Frameworks team, Lucas Shaw, like a lot of all the World Cup US pros probably won't be at Mountain Creek, but that'll be an opportunity for old Dante Silva to get a bunch of points. He finished 12th at round 1, so he'll be looking to get a win or at least a podium and get that ODI red plate.
I think that's good. I mean, like, it's good though in the current kind of climate to have these guys kind of bouncing in and out, because it's giving the series like even more legitimacy. You know, like obviously the World Cup is just so no one really knows. You know, like there's kind of so much speculation of how things are working and what's happening, and it's just so up in the air. Whereas like you've got this solid, awesome season of racing, and good to see another round this year. So bumped up to 5 rounds, and it'll be exciting to follow.
It will, man. And I will say this, that we're seeing a lot of Canadians. Like there's a lot of Maple Leafs, red and white, in the start and finish lines here at the Monster Pro Downhill Series. So it's cool to see that. I mean, there's always been a lot of good competition up there to our north. So, if any of you Kiwi downhillers are considering coming to race Monster Pro Downhill and you're a junior, you should, because as we just talked about, you'll be racing elites. There is a booming YouTube channel that are, our race coverage, race replays are getting around 100,000 views now. So that's good. That's like,
that's
I'm not
unreal.
going to say nipping on. I don't know what the current World Cup views are, but going back to 10 years when Red Bull was still producing the World Cups, they were getting 250 to 300,000 views on their live streams. So we're getting close. We're starting to see some good numbers.
No, it's legit.
I've been telling. Certainly come up here and make.
I've been telling everyone. I've been telling everyone who will want to listen. This is where they need to go. Everyone who's not a factory rider, who's sort of just going, I don't really know what to do this season. I'm like, go to the US. Just go race there. You'll have no shortage of races between this, Pro Downhill Series, Mountain State Cups, East Coast Racing. There's going to be a ton to do.
Yeah,
and they'll have a great time.
We know Kiwis are fast. Great time, really good competition, good prize money. I mean, even if they want to go race Northwest Cups or Downhill Southeast or Downhill Rockies or Eastern States Cup, you're looking at about $500 for a race win at any regional race across the country. And you could basically race every weekend starting in like April. From like April to September, you could practically race every weekend in the U.S.
Yeah, it's just this race feels quite early when you're looking at it from like a Southern Hemisphere point of view. There's kind of like this is pretty early, which is probably just one of the unfortunate things of getting guys over here. But hopefully we'll see a few more start showing up, maybe from like Mountain Creek, maybe even because I think Solitude in Utah is the third round.
I think you're right. Yeah, Solitude.
I think that's right. So
Big Bear, then Vermont. Yeah, that's right.
So maybe we'll see a few more people coming in towards the end of the season, but it's good. It's exciting. US Downhill's back.
For sure. It is. It's here, and we're just going to keep chipping away and growing this baby.
I'm here for it.
It's exciting times, man.
I still just want to come back and do a race. It's still just like before I get completely too old, I'm like, man, I want to come back. I mean, US Open would be the perfect one for it, but we'll see. Money's a real problem these days, Kieran, though. Like everything's expensive. Yeah,
everything's expensive. Holy God, yeah, dude, what the fuck? Make stuff cheap again.
Yeah.
Dude, you would have your work cut out for you getting in the top 20. That's and you're capable. I'm not talking down on you at all. I admire you as a rider racer. I'm floored that you're still going as fast as you are at.
I'm old, man. I don't think I'm turning up to podium, but I'd just love to come to a race.
Yeah, no, I think you would enjoy the tracks, and I think you got a top 20 in you. I'll put it that way.
Yep. Maybe we should start crowdfunding. No, I hate crowdfunding for going racing. We're not doing that. I wouldn't accept it. If you want to go racing, you earn that money somehow. But no, maybe one day we'll make it happen.
Well, we'd love to see you stateside, Kieran, once again.
Yeah, it'd be good to come see you. All right, well, I think I don't have anything else to really wrap up. You got any topics to round us out?
Do I have any juicy gossip off the top of my brain?
Yeah.
No, man.
Anything good?
I think we've covered just about everything. Just about everything.
No, that hour went by really easily, so it's good. Plenty of topics to talk about, which I love. Yeah,
man, little tangents, little ADD, can start to just go in all these different directions and bring it all together.
Go everywhere.
At the end.
And hey, we had not a single drop out of this recording this week, so that is an absolute win after our last one.
Yes.
Look at us go.
Oh, man. I think the funniest bit of our last one was me cursing the internet was failing again.
There was some pretty funny sections I found. Yeah, it was pretty good. I left that in there just because it was pretty funny. All right. Well, hey, this is I've actually noticed looking at the stats, the US listenership is picking up, which is awesome. It's good to have some of your fellow Americans listening into the podcast, which I'm stoked on. So yeah, keep spreading the word. Tell a friend. Get us out there. Give us a rating on Spotify or Apple. Follow us, subscribe, do all of that because it all helps get us out there. And yeah, we're stoked. We'll come back sometime around Mountain Creek next month, I reckon.
Yep, we're a few weeks out, and thank you, New Zealand downhill mountain bike audience, for letting. Do y'all call us seppos down there? That's Australia only, right? The septic tank Yanks.
Yeah, that's
New Zealand.
Yeah,
the Kiwis refer to us as seppos?
That's an Australian one. Nah, that's a full Australian term. Right. That one. Yeah.
All right.
Nah, we'll leave that to them. They're a different breed.
You gotta be cool, like slang for Americans down there.
I don't think so. No, I don't think we don't really have the level that Australia does. Maybe probably Yanks is about the most creative one, but that's not even creative. So yeah, we're not very good.
Yeah, you can't call me a Yank. I'm in the South, man. We don't like Yanks around here.
We're too polite. We'll just call you guys Americans.
Yep. Well, again, just wanted to thank you for allowing me to be your foreign correspondent. Come racing.
That's great.
It's always. Sorry, go ahead.
It's always. I was gonna say it's always good to catch up with you. Because while I love putting the podcast out, it's always good just to talk downhill with you, whether we record it or not. I love it.
Yeah, dude. Maybe next time we'll talk about the Great American Road Trip and the fun that you can have racing on U.S. soil.
Yeah. You ever switch drivers on a like highway doing 60 miles an hour? That's a whole experience for someone to learn one day.
You can do that in the U.S. You just don't want to talk about it.
yeah, exactly. We didn't do that. Not a chance.
No. But we maybe know some people that did.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Thanks again, Griz. We'll talk to you in a few weeks' time.
KB, thanks for having me. We'll talk soon.